It's Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. I want to start out today by giving everybody some good news. Yesterday, I reported seeing an incident where a gentleman apparently had a heart attack while he was driving his pickup truck. And I was at the gym today, and I had seen some of the firemen from Palm Desert. I asked one of them if they knew anything about what had happened yesterday, and he was actually on the scene yesterday and told me that the gentleman actually passed away at the scene, but they were able to resuscitate him and bring him back, got him to the hospital, and I'm happy to report to everybody that today he's in stable condition, still alive. And I know a few people commented down below that they said a prayer for this gentleman. I know that I did, and the power of prayer is amazing. And just with so much negativity and so many bad things happening, I just wanted to share this news with you because it's really just a breath of fresh air, some good news. Here's a guy that was laid out on the road. They were resuscitating this guy, and let me tell you, these guys, I mean, the amount of people that were there, they're so professional. The fire department out here is absolutely amazing. And this guy got, you know, grade A treatment without a doubt. I mean, there was like 10 police cars there, 2 paramedic units, a fire truck. I mean, it was just insane how many people were working on this gentleman. And it looks like they did an incredible job because they were able to resuscitate him, bring him back, and he is alive today. I'm happy to report. So thanks for the prayers. I don't know this guy. I'll probably never meet him in my life, but it's just a great story, and it's good to see people that just know what they're doing. They love their jobs, and just talking to the fireman today, just seemed like a really good guy, and I was really happy to hear that. So I want to thank everybody who said a prayer for this gentleman. And I will say this, we need to be praying for this country and this economy, because this economy has no doubt gone into cardiac arrest. This thing is seizing up. We got the CPI numbers this morning. CPI increases 0.4% in April. CPI rises 4.9% year over year. Core CPI gains 0.4% and 5.5% year over year. So we are seeing very sticky inflation, and they're trying to make this sound that it was better than expected, of course. But we are far away from 2% inflation. The Fed has a long way to go here, and markets today, Dow Jones at one point was down 322 points. NASDAQ was up and then turned red. Markets across the board went red. Then all of a sudden, we had a miracle take place. And later in the day, we got sudden news. This article came out from the Wall Street Journal. I don't remember the gentleman's name who wrote this article, but this article came out from the Wall Street Journal. And when it came out, markets did a 180. And in the article, it was basically, to paraphrase, is that the Fed is not going to raise rates in June. Now, what evidence they have other than that inflation is slowing down? It's said that the market sees no more hikes ahead. Price pressures are not worsening and might be slowing. That was in the article, and that was enough. That was enough hope right there to turn the markets around. So what do you think? Comment down below. Do you think that inflation is only 4.9%? Because personally, I think it's much higher than that. Do you think the Fed is going to pause? It says here that the Fed is not going to hike in June, and that they're going to pause. Do you think that's what's going to happen? I think it's very possible we could see a pause. Maybe they don't hike in June, but they hike at the next meeting. But I think it's also very probable that we do get another rate hike in June. But the market is looking for any type of hope. So the Wall Street Journal can drop an article in the day, and all of a sudden the markets take hold of this. It just triggers the algorithms, and they saved the day. Now, I think the Dow Jones was down a bit today. I think the NASDAQ was up a little bit, but it could have been much, much worse because this market began tanking at one point. Airbnb drops on cautious outlook as CEO says customers want affordability. Yeah, they do, because they're going broke. Airbnb, I think, lost 10% yesterday. Today, I think they were down 11%. Comment down below. Are you taking a vacation this summer? If you are, is it going to be a shorter one, a longer one? I think a lot, and personally, I think a lot less people will be traveling this year if they do. I think they will be cutting their trips shorter. I can tell you in my area right here over the winter, which is our season, where we get a lot of Canadians, a lot of people from the Northwest, Washington, Oregon. I didn't see as many of those license plates in the area. Speaking to a few people that were in town, they were not going to be here very long. A lot of them cutting their trips shorter. So I think that I think people are going to really be on a budget this summer. And again, we don't know. I'm amazed when I'm out driving down I-10 or in some areas just how much traffic there is. But things are breaking. People and households are beginning to really feel the pain right now. And when you look at some of the data here, more than 5 million households in the U.S. are behind in rent or on their rent. We have 20 million households that are behind on the utility bills. As of February, renters in the U.S. owed nearly $11 billion in debt. Across California, 600,000 people owe a total of $2.1 billion in back rent. Nearly 200,000 people in Los Angeles County owe more than $500 million in back rent. How in the world can anybody say we're not in a recession? How can anybody say the consumer is strong? How can anybody say the economy is strong? I don't get it. These are depressionary type numbers. And guess what? The numbers are probably worse than what I'm telling you. It's amazing how people just do not want to listen to the truth. People would rather just run up the credit cards and go out to dinner and run up more debt and just try to ignore reality. Here's one from the economiccollapse.com. It's titled, "It Could Happen to You." And I'll just go through this article a little bit here. John Sherry, it says here, saved all of his money, owned his own home outright, ran a business with 15 workers, and then his wife got cancer, and that's when everything changed. Now the couple lives in an RV, and they take grocery handouts from shelter volunteers. He said he saved real well, owned his own home, but circumstances changed. His wife got sick. We all have to be prepared for circumstances to change. We have to be prepared for the worst case scenario. That's why daily I tell you to put as much cash, build up some capital, buy some assets, put it away, don't touch it, because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. Just as I started out this video, this gentleman yesterday in his pickup truck, do you think he thought when he woke up yesterday morning he was going to have a heart attack and die and then be resuscitated and come back to life? I mean, probably not. We have got to be prepared for bad times. And you know, if you get sick in this country, the system will drain you completely. It is so expensive to get sick. It is so expensive for medicine, for pharmaceuticals. We have a very broken system, and the system will break you. Do everything in your power, ladies and gentlemen, not to get sick. This is the time to really be getting in the best shape that you can. Cut out as much junk food as you can. Take some supplements. Take some vitamins. Take some extra protein. Get to the gym. Work out. Go for a walk. Go for a bike ride. Get in a better mental mindset. Do everything you can in your power to get in better shape. He goes on to say, he thought he would only use his $50,000 RV for vacations. Now it's one of the 135 motorhomes, cars, and makeshift shacks of Binford Road along the 101 highway of Navajo, 45 miles from San Francisco. People are just a paycheck away in some circumstances, in some situations. Maybe 2 or 3 paychecks away. Maybe just one accident away. And they could lose everything, just like this gentleman. And he's lucky he has this RV. If you have kids today and they have a warm bed, thank God, be very grateful for what you have. Again, that gentleman yesterday having a heart attack, you didn't have a heart attack today. Thank God you're healthy. Thank God you're functioning. Thank God your kids have a roof over their head. Thank God your kids have a bed. It doesn't matter if you're living in the basement, in your parents' garage, with your in-laws, with roommates, whatever the case may be. You're functioning today, you're healthy, and that is the most important thing. We have very serious things coming. More bank collapses are coming, and it's going to cause very, very big trouble here in the U.S. economy. Lenders are tightening, going to be more trouble. Cheap money is done, more trouble. Servicing debt going way up. That's going to affect everybody, businesses, households, everybody. More workers getting laid off. It's going to affect a lot of households. More businesses will fail. More people will end up living in vehicles. More people living in tents. More people living in shacks. The system is falling apart, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it with your own two eyes now. And the average household is not ready for this. The average household is not prepared for this. The average household 3, 4, 5 years ago did not see this coming. Many people were just too busy going to baseball games and football games, too busy watching Netflix, too busy just doing things that were not preparing them for what is knocking at the door right now. These are the good times. These are the good times. And I'm warning all of you right now, while we have time, accelerate your preparations. Time is running out. Here's another one from the economic collapse. And it talks about that area where that gentleman lives right now in Navato. And they did an aerial drone shot of that area. It's 2 miles in length, okay? 2 miles long of just RVs, shacks, vans, cars of homeless people. We are, I mean, we are seeing incredible changes right now in the standard of living in America. And there's a lot of people in these mile-long food lines, these 2 mile long camper and van lines of encampments. And people are gonna have many people are gonna have a very hard time adapting to this new environment that they're gonna have to get used to and that they are completely unprepared for. And I'm going to do everything in my power to avoid ever landing up in that situation. But again, just like this gentleman, owned his home outright. 15 employees, doing quite well. And then his wife got sick and everything changed. So many people that I've spoken to on the streets here in California who are homeless, a lot of them landed up homeless because they got sick. The hospital bills piled up. The system drained them and they could never recover. So stay healthy, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Make sure you're putting that emergency reserve away. Make sure you have a good circle of family and friends. If you have a good church, you're very blessed because those are very hard to find. But just encircle yourself with good people, because I think the more good people we have around us, the more people we have praying for us, the better chance we have. And we have to do everything to put the odds in our favor. You know, we are looking right now at depressionary times in America. Think about 42, 44 million people on food stamps. Think about these mile-long food lines where people are lining up for food, and then you see miles of homeless people living in shacks and dilapidated RVs. When can you ever remember a time of ever seeing anything like this? I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime. And there's so much more going on, but we're not going to talk about that here. But there's going to be so much pressure put on the system. So many people who are going to have to eat. So many people who are going to need medical assistance. I don't know how we're going to afford to do this while we're still sending billions of dollars all over the world. And yet we have people waiting a mile for food, living in encampments on the side of a road. It's absolutely unacceptable. And let's not forget about our homeless vets who are struggling to make it, who are living in tents, homeless, need help, and we're not helping them. And I think no matter what, anybody here in this country living on the streets, it's unacceptable and they need help. And they should be our first priority. We need to get people back to work. We need to get rid of regulations. We need to open up the pipeline. We need to start manufacturing, producing, giving people some hope, giving people direction, giving people some skills, and really, I think rewarding people who work hard. As I said in the past, I think people who work overtime, any overtime should not be taxed. That should be, anybody that works overtime, they should be able to keep that money free and clear. We need to incentivize people to get back to work, and we're doing the opposite. Our cities are absolutely decaying. We look at the problems in our pension system, how unfunded they are, the municipalities, the states, everything's broke, ladies and gentlemen. And at some point, this thing is going to come to a head and burst. And there's going to be a huge price to pay here. And it's not just going to be financial, it's going to be very social too. And you need to be prepared for this social meltdown that we're going to see here also. Think about when people are not eating, when they're not getting food stamps, when they're not getting their pensions. We're going to see problems. And when people get hungry, and that takes about 3 days, you're going to see big, big problems. I don't think at this point this can be avoided right now. The whole debt ceiling thing, of course, they're going to raise the debt ceiling. They always do. But guess what? That's going to cause more and more inflation. More banks are going to be in trouble. More bailouts, more inflation. Then they'll want to bail out pensions. More printing money, more inflation. We're just going to bail everything and everybody out till the dollar is worth absolutely nothing. And I hope you own some gold, and I hope you own some silver at that point, because if you don't, you're going to be broke, just like a peasant in Venezuela that's, you know, going through the garbage, eating zoo animals, eating cats, eating dogs just to survive. And that's reality. You can Google that. You can research that. That's what's happening to the poor people who are now just peasants in Venezuela and many other countries around the world and Latin America. Going into zoos, eating zoo animals, eating pigeons, eating cats, eating dogs. Crime is through the roof. I mean, that's what happens when inflation gets out of control. That's what happens when a fiat paper currency goes to zero. God bless every one of you. Stay safe out there. Keep preparing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really, literally speechless with what I'm seeing taking place, and we can go on. I've been watching some of the news today. I'm not going to get political here. I'm not going to comment on that stuff, but it's shocking what is taking place and how bad this is about to get. God bless all of you. Be safe.